Alright everyone, welcome back. It is now January of 2024, and things are already off to a bad start when it comes to Disney and Marvel Studios and exactly what's been going on with Deadpool 3 and many of their other productions out there, like the current Echo series, which by the way is creating a lot of fan backlash. We have a lot more to talk about that later on, so stay tuned. But what's interesting about Bob Iger and the rest of the Disney higher-ups, such as the board of directors and many different executives out there that have been wreaking havoc about all divisions over at Disney, such as Walt Disney Animation Studios and especially Lucasfilm as one of the other big ones. What's interesting about the ongoing battle between the writers of Deadpool 3 like Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Ryan Reynolds is that they really are standing their ground and going up against Disney relentlessly at this point. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So the one thing that Deadpool 3 really has going for it is the fact that we have Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Ryan Reynolds bringing Wolverine portrayed by Hugh Jackman into the mix. You know, I think that we could all agree here that that is the main selling point of this movie. Aside from that, you got various cameos from the SSU, from the MCU. However, there are also a lot of issues at hand happening in between. Let's discuss. Now, one thing about Ryan Reynolds is that we know that he always likes to say that he considers the third Deadpool film like his life's work, or his baby, if you will, because he has spent so many years of his life trying to get this movie out there and done, and it's just sad to see that Disney is attempting to sabotage, especially the third act, and two end credit scenes, one of which being a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. Now, what's interesting about this further is that with the Deadpool 3 drama only getting worse for the creators behind the film and the cast involved, one major development has to do with both Ryan Reynolds and the Disney higher-ups. Now, after Ryan recently had the liberty to fire the X-Men cast that was going to tease the all-female-led X-Men movie for Marvel Phase 7 by Disney, one significant update to this ongoing drama is that after many arguments and negotiations, Disney gave Ryan the choice to fire the entire new X-Men cast that consisted of an all-female-led cast of characters that was going to appear before the credits roll during the final frames of the third act. And though the scenes were not filmed just yet, they were already rehearsed that left all writers deeply unhappy like Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and even Ryan himself. The scene was not only reportedly full of subpar dialogue that was forced by Disney to be written into the script by both Rhett and Paul a certain way, but it involved retellings of characters like Storm, Rogue, Mystique, Jean, Silver Fox, and so much more. Many of these characters were race-swapped, and surprisingly some characters in the roster, aside from the all-female-led cast, were of course gender-swapped as well, such as a new iteration of Cyclops from a different universe. What Ryan didn't like about this was it was a mixture of different X-Men characters from different universes, some of which were going to be from the Marvel Phase 7 X-Men movie, others of which were just going to be flat-out insertion cameos, bundled together, and though the dialogue was considered terrible, the writers of Deadpool 3 felt this was going to be way too confusing for the casual audience. The gender-swapped Cyclops was reportedly not inserted to promote the upcoming X-Men movie, but rather just for the sake of insertion, much like Mr. Fantastic in the Multiverse of Madness, and how he won't be the new Mr. Fantastic in 2025's film. Now, Ryan eventually got his way after many arguments, and is now picking and choosing which X-Men characters to keep in the film's scene. The all-female-led group had been fired, and reportedly consisted of mostly unknown actresses, all suited up. Ryan also got rid of the gender-swapped Cyclops plan that was forced into the script by Disney. Now, guys, let me stop here quick before I move on. Are we really that shocked that Disney was making this swift move to make this happen, to kind of just gender and race swap a lot of X-Men characters just for the sake of doing it? And we're going to talk about this in a second, because this is not to be confused with the character that's similar to Cyclops. This is the actual Cyclops that was completely swapped by, of course, the heads over at Disney. And this is exactly what they forced to be written into the script and eventually filmed by the end of this month, leading into February, to kind of get that done in a matter of days. Now, further, we know that X-Men, right, is going to be a big deal for Phase 7. And leading up to that phase, they're going to have a lot of mutant-era cameos, alright? We already got one in or should I say the Marvels, with Captain Marvel in the mix. You know, given that the Marvels really set up Beast and everything related to him in that sense, a lot of fans are just really wondering exactly what Disney's going to do moving onwards now. We already saw what they did in Multiverse of Madness to Charles Xavier, and I think that really, you know, steered a lot of fans away to begin with. Other fans may have differing opinions on that, but what's interesting about this is that Ryan thankfully got his way after many arguments and negotiations with Disney and their higher-ups, and really had the liberty that was given by Disney to let go of these characters/actors. Now, some people may debate and view this as Disney's attempt to kind of just give Ryan the liberty to firing them and letting those actresses go from the script, since they can now scapegoat and blame things on Ryan if, you know, things don't go quite according to plan, or if this causes a chain of delays. It seems like that Disney can then point the finger at Ryan. Some people are bringing that up. But what's interesting about this further is that this was not to be considered with any familiar characters similar to Cyclops when it came to the gender swapping, and was the only actual character by both name and design that was actually swapped by gender via Disney and Kevin Feige. Now, this rattled creators Rhett, Paul, and Ryan, as they knew it would only create fan backlash, and the characters were pushed by Disney to make a series of jokes and comedic relief that they knew would not agree with the audience at all. Both Rogue was race swapped as well in this actual scenario, and other characters of the scene that was laid out for the writers that was to be shot by the end of January that would have taken around 5 whole days of filming to complete. Ryan right now is fighting Disney to not only, of course, keep the classic X-Men characters in to return with last-minute filming plan to begin either during or after principal photography. Alright, so that's the other thing, is that they do want to do last-minute filming, even if when the time comes to wrap up main filming and they head into post, they're still going to plan to do some pickup shots and some reshoots here and there ahead of its July of 2024 release date window. And I brought this up many times. I just don't know how they're going to get this movie out by July. If the drama continues leading into February, that gives them, if you don't count February, March, April, May, and June, a whole 4 months to get this movie all edited together with the special effects and everything, get the marketing team to kind of create a plan and strategy on how to get this movie out there, and really promote it to the point where everyone knows about it ahead of July. It's a little tight, but it can be done. It has been done before by many different studios, but it's going to be a tight one. It really is. It's going to be a very big 50-50 chance here whether or not it gets delayed by a couple of months. So overall, I would love to hear your overall take on Ryan's overall demands getting met, and really Disney giving him that opportunity to make things somewhat go his way in the third act. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.